Welcome to the video, guys. You might remember, over the last couple of years, the Electoral Commission working with the Remain establishment to overturn the decision the people of this country made, with never-ending court cases against Leave supporting activists and organisations throughout the year, while completely ignoring evidence of Remain organisations and parties blatantly breaching electoral law themselves. The level of bias seen within this organisation was almost on par with the BBC, which I'm sure you will agree is no mean feat. Well, recently, the Brexit bashing corporation reported on the fact that the Electoral Commission and Arron Banks had reached a settlement. A dispute between the Electoral Commission and Brexit campaigner Arron Banks has been settled. Mr. Banks, who funded Leave.eu, threatened to take the watchdog to court for defamation in 2019. The Commission had referred Mr. Banks to the National Crime Agency a year earlier after his campaign was fined for breaking electoral law during the 2016 Brexit referendum. But the NCA found no evidence of criminal offences, obviously because it would appear to be a politically motivated campaign against Leave.eu and Brexiteers in general. The Electoral Commission obviously stood by its investigation, because if it doesn't, it's going to end up looking like an idiot. On Thursday, the two sides said they had reached an amicable settlement, and the watchdog had removed 2 press releases from its website. The parties are pleased to have reached accommodation and to be able to put this matter behind them, said a joint statement by the Electoral Commission, the Commission's Chief Executive Robert Posner, Mr. Banks and Miss Bilney. However, Mr. Banks has called for Parliament to look into the Electoral Commission's involvement in the investigation, as well as that of the Information Commissioner's office. The statement completely vindicates me and our position, he said. As the NCA concluded, the money came from myself and my business, and it's good to see the Electoral Commission concedes this, because of course they were claiming it had come from Russia. As we all know, the mainstream media and these leftist Remain types love to claim everything is done by Russia. Russia is an all-powerful god, if you believe the Remain side or the left in America. Which was actually picked up on by Nigel Farage and the Express here, saying, Nigel Farage erupts in furious Brexit rant as he attacks brazen establishment stitch-up. Nigel Farage called for an end to the Electoral Commission in his rant. The leading Brexiteer detailed co-founder of Leave.eu, Arron Banks, had his name dragged through the dirt but was never proved to be dishonest, a joint statement read. Bear in mind that this referendum took place on June 23rd, 2016. Because Mr. Banks was a big backer of mine and a very major supporter of the Leave campaign, he has been subject to endless investigations by the Electoral Commission. He has been accused of being corrupt, being paid by Russians in Parliament and through the media. It is unbelievable. No, not really. This is what you see in this day and age. You should know this, Farage, realistically. Mr. Farage added, he not only wins, but there was not a single thing that the Electoral Commission had said he had done dishonestly that could be proved in any way at all. It is shocking the way the establishment behaved in the wake of the Brexit result. With this article going further, a couple of days later, just yesterday, Electoral Commission must be abolished. Calls for inquiry after Leave.eu humiliation. And I would have to agree with that. Yes, there should be an inquiry and then it should be abolished. Pressure is mounting for a parliamentary inquiry into the Electoral Commission after it was forced to admit that Arron Banks, the founder of Leave.eu, was innocent of the allegations it had made against him, because it looks to be a political attack from a Remain supporting organisation. Writing for the Sunday Express today, Mr. Banks has revealed that he has written to the chairman of the Commons Digital, Culture, Media and Sports Select Committee, Julian Knight, to demand an inquiry into the controversial watchdog. The billionaire businessman has been backed by senior Tory MPs who have called for the Electoral Commission to be scrapped and replaced. North West Leicester MP Andrew Bridgen said the Electoral Commission has shown that it is not fit for purpose and has pandered to the Remainer lobby. It must now be abolished or replaced. The same as Parliament and the electoral system in general. We all know it's completely broken and not fit for purpose. The Electoral Commission has obviously tried to be a little bit more brazen in that than Parliament currently is, but we've seen over the last few years what major political parties and their MPs are like, along with the fact that no small party is ever going to get in government while we have this system in place. I don't care what side of the political fence you might consider this party to be on, it's never going to get in power over the Tories or Labour because of the system we have. And let's be honest, the powers that be within that party are never going to sanction a change that could well lose them the monopoly on government. Trust me, it's not going to happen. Thinking any different is literally Joe Swinson politics. You know, the sort that says you're going to get 200 seats when in the end you don't even get a seat for yourself and you get completely humiliated. Lib Dems might be mainstream, but they are still a small shit-kicker party at the end of the day. Take a look at the Brexit party for instance, and every other new or small party. There is absolutely no hope, which is why we need to abolish the Electoral Commission and the system as it is, because it favours obviously the two. Questions had been asked about the actions of the Electoral Commission after it was humiliated in the High Court last year when former Vote Leave campaigner Darren Grimes was cleared of allegations it had made against him. Yes, I covered that story at the time. They sent a personal attack on this guy to try and get 20 grand out of him, as it says there. The judge forced the watchdog to abandon its attempts to fine Mr Grimes £20,000 for a clerical error. There had been concerns that key members of the Electoral Commission had been Remain campaigners against Brexit. This included the chairman, Sir John Holmes, who has already faced demands to resign, as well as 9 other commissioners who made pronouncements in favour of Remain. Suspicions were also raised by a refusal by the Commission to investigate Remain groups when Priti Patel presented them with evidence before she became the Home Secretary. See, like I said, they refused to act on evidence when it was related to Remain groups, so it needs to be abolished, much like, as I said, the parliamentary system we're currently working under now. Because while we may get an inquiry and some action taken against the Electoral Commission, I wouldn't hold your breath on it, it's a small possibility. We certainly won't, like I said, have anything happen to the political system in general here. That will drain the swamp completely, which I think most, if not all of you will agree, certainly needs to happen. But before I go, I do have to say it is good that the Electoral Commission has been called out and people are actively saying it needs to be abolished, including Tory MPs. Hopefully the government will actually do something about it, because we know they won't do anything about the political system here. Now before I go, I've started doing live streams and uploading gaming content on my second channel. If you would like to come and join me for a live stream to chat in real time, have an interest in gaming related content on YouTube, or just want to follow me over there because you are a legend, the link will be down in the video description below and as a pinned comment. I hope to see you all there. Now as always, before I go, I want to thank our PayPal, Patreon, Subscribestar and YouTube members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe with the notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot, and I will see you all in the next one.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors, slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires, and that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going, and we are glad to be going. We're off.